coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
Hey, welcome back, boys. Happy Wednesday.
Yo.
I'm loving this. Matt is joining us today, guys. If you are not already in the loop, Matt is a personal friend of mine. I know he is also friends with Don and Gavin here. I was actually just with Matt in Costa Rica last week.
Woo!
And man, we had a great time. Awesome time. Matt, I want to thank you for coming on our live show today. We do encourage the audience to interact with this show. And if they have questions along the way, we encourage them to ask those questions. So from time to time, you may see some bubbles pop up at the bottom of the screen with questions from the audience. And Matt, we really want to learn more about Rehab Estimator Pro today. And this is a software that Matt's been working on for years that will take the guesswork out of estimating repair costs. Such a cool product. Matt, how are you, man?
Good, man. Getting my legs back under me here. It's after spending a couple of weeks in Central America. It's always a radical adjustment to come back to the States, right?
That's right.
Especially with that infinity pool overlooking the Pacific.
Yes, that was awesome. I was trying to get Don and Gavin to come last minute because it turned from, a mission style trip where we were sleeping in like tents to, a vacation style trip where we were sleeping in this big mansion. It was awesome. Right. But all in all, great trip. Definitely. It's been a week, Matt. We've been back a week as of last night. And man, time flies. So
it does.
Man, it's crazy how fast it flies. But
Matt,
again,
good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Gavin, Don. Man, it's been too long. Yeah,
Tulum was the last time I saw you, buddy.
Oh, that's terrible, man. Hey, the texts are still going back and forth, so keep in contact any way we can, right?
Yep, for sure.
For sure.
That's right. And this is a great opportunity to connect as well, guys. So, Matt, what is Rehab Estimator Pro? How long have you been working on it? Why should somebody have interest in it?
Good question, man. I appreciate it. I've been with all you guys individually, even on this. So it's you guys always have great questions, and you guys have all been in the business long enough to realize the relevance, of what this is. But it is software we've been working on for about 4 years. Super exciting. We keep it simple, man. We don't try to add every little thing along the way to make this some kind of massive project management tool with CRM. We want to keep the basics of actually being able to estimate repair costs without being a general contractor. The premise in developing this was to be able to basically send anyone out of your office to an appointment or even online through Zoom, through the pandemic last year, to be able to estimate repairs quickly and accurately with just the click of a button.
Awesome. So you don't have to have years and years of experience estimating repairs or have previously been a contractor or a general contractor. So what you're saying is essentially we could send the bookkeeper.
That is, man, you nailed it. That's you remember that from long ago. That was the actual premise, man. I actually, my bookkeeper comes in. I wanted to be able to send her and out to any appointment and be able to come back and trust those numbers. So it's such a massive hole in the business. Nobody teaches it well, and nobody has a system like this out there. So everybody throws repair calculators in their software, but nobody does what we do, which is basically just click of a button and it calculates for you versus you having to pre-input amounts. And it's basically a training just on visual. What do I see when I drive up to the house? That's the only training that's involved is, hey, which buttons am I pushing? So it's just a key part. And we've been focusing on, so much the fact that pairing that with the comps that we provide now that we do pay for. It's not just a Zillow API, they killed that for everybody. So we're actually providing you with a great comping tool plus the repair cost. What does that get you? It gets you right to a cash offer that you can send right there from your email, right from your tablet, your phone, And that's what this is about, right? If you're not sending offers, you're not getting deals.
Man, isn't that the truth?
You know,
Yeah.
one of the biggest challenges, like right now, we're moving into new areas and new markets, and you know, we'll probably get into it later in the call. But I wiped out my entire sales team, and so I'm actually taking calls again. We got some new people starting in this next week. We're gonna be training. I'm actually jumping on the phone in a brand new market and trying to like wrap my head around the numbers there. Like what's the ARVs, what's the rehab costs in that market, all that kind of stuff, and it makes me feel like, just from in my head perspective, it makes me feel like I'm brand new again. And it takes me all the way back to standing in Home Depot, trying to price things out, trying to get my head around the numbers, trying to make sure the contractor wasn't taking advantage of me, all of that kind of stuff. And what this tool does is it removes all that brain damage. You know, literally you can go through and click things off and remove all that brain damage. And that's the important part of this from just a newbie perspective. If you're watching this and you're thinking about, you know, doing rehabs, this tool removes all the guesswork. It takes the learning curve, what took me months and months, probably even a year to really nail down, and takes all that guesswork out of the way, number one. Number two, if you're trying to build a team, like my acquisitions team that I'm bringing on and now is going to be trained starting from day one on Rehab Estimator Pro, because I know that there's not any thought that has to be put into checking the box. Like, just what do you see? What do you check? And that's it. And it's going to give us an accurate number. And so it's an amazing tool. And it's something that I wish I would have known about when I got started back up again in 2012 or even way back in 2003, because it just took a lot of the brain damage away from all of the guesswork.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to jump in as well and just say something. Hopefully my internet's okay, guys. But when I started in the business, I can't fix anything, right? I mean, I'm from England. I've never done anything. I can't do anything with my hands. Like,
I'm from England.
I can't do nothing, right? So you get into real estate, and I'm in sales and marketing. I feel I can sell anything and do all that. But the bit that I was held up on is I started virtual because I was scared of going in the house, right? Because I don't know anything. How much is a roof? No idea. Does it need this? Absolutely no idea. Couldn't tell you anything. So I chose not to go. So I started my real estate journey being virtual. But with this tool, after you took us through it, Matt, was genius in terms of nothing else is like it on the market, right? That's what's unique. It's not like this is a copy of 900 things that are out there. This is something I'd never seen before. And having the ability just to push buttons and actually giving you, again, a clear estimate to get you in the range is, I think, brilliant. So I think anyone that is like me, that is not a fix and flip, I'm not a handy person, I don't know them things. All I know is I can sell and I know how to market for leads. This is a tool that you can take with you and actually gives you the confidence to say, yeah, I can run an appointment. And I just want to throw that out there. So that's what I got from it.
Love it, man. I'll tell you what, Don, I feel like I've arrived at this same point right now. I literally have just so you know, it's almost embarrassing, but you know, this is where we're at, right, man? It's always about abundance and sharing. I have a yellow pad on my desk right now with 2 pages filled out with addresses because I started from scratch. I'm training acquisition guys, sales guys right now in my market. And so I did what we teach, right? I sent out a vacant list, and I've already had over a 5% response rate from that just one direct mail piece so far. And it's blowing up. And so now I'm going on these and I'm using REP. And I'll give you a great example of yesterday, because Gavin, like you said, you know, it gets you to that what I call a takedown number. Okay.
Yep.
We got to get close, and we got to trust it. Right. So you may not run your entire job based on that scope of work and that number, but it actually gets you to where you need to be. And so here's a perfect example. I'm with a guy yesterday. He comes up from Florida. He gets my vacant letter, calls me and says, hey, it's really good. I went out. The house is a great house, man. I mean, you know how many turds we see every day, right? Like this, it was refreshing to actually see something that's like, oh my gosh, this general contractor was doing amazing. It got 90%. They're partners, so he's not making money until it's all done. Well, nobody's been on the job for 7 months, so they're exhausted, but it's beautiful work. It just needs to be completed. So he tells me right off the bat, when we finally get in there and we've done the rapport, we've walked through the house, and I've got REP, and he says, and I say, hey man, let's get to business. Where, you know, this is what we're here for. It's numbers time, you know. And he throws an anchor out there of, well, it needs 13,000 left in repairs. I said, really? Hey, I've got this national software that we use. It's good in all markets. It's, let me just run it through because it's great. I even was toggling the numbers. I won't get deep right now, but hey, 50% for this needed still. I mean, they did half the roof. I mean, honestly, who does half the roof? And, oh yeah. Like it's, I'm telling you, it was great work. It's one contractor on the whole house. Right. So anyway, I get down and just show him, here's the numbers. Like, and in the end, it ended up being 38,000 in repairs left. It's a 2,000 square foot house, 4-bedroom, 3-bath. They converted from a duplex into a single. Okay. So, but in the end, I was able to do it. He wasn't able to dispute any of the numbers, any of them, because he finally said, yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, that's actually probably more accurate. Yeah, you're probably right. Bam. And it was undisputable to just have something in front of you. How often do you leave the appointment and go, hey, let me go work the numbers and I'll get back to you? But to be able to show something real time changed it all. And that was just yesterday.
So did you make him an offer?
Oh, absolutely. I never go to a house without making an offer. So
love it.
And we can get a little deeper than this, but my offer, which I think he's going to take, number one, he dropped the anchor of 160. Okay. I showed him right there out of REP. His cash offer was 131,000. Okay. But I said, I did get up to 150 because I'm making him carry the note through completion and he gets paid on the back end. And all of a sudden it changed the whole game because I told him I would just make interest payments to him. So he'd be getting paid now after this disaster for, however long they've held it.
Did he partner, Matt, with somebody or did he hire a crew?
50-50 contractor split.
So guys, did you hear what just happened here? So there was a joint venture and now there's another joint venture. I love it.
Right.
Creative as hell.
Right.
And also as well, let's not forget, because we are coffee with closers, everyone needs to look at that close, right? You went in with a low offer of the cash, then you pivoted into terms to get the deal done. Well, hopefully done, right? Which is huge. Right. Where that number wasn't, you were lower, again, when you price anchored down and then you came up on terms to hopefully get the deal done. Because why? You're solving the guy's problem. That's what you're doing. That's your focus.
Yep.
Really good.
He loved having that fixed, window too of, look, I'm going to get you've been sitting on this for 7 months, yelling at the contractor, even though he's done amazing work, man. His drywall and tile work is phenomenal, but he can't get it done. He ain't coming back. He's making money. He's out, doing other stuff. So I told him, I said, look, 60 days, we're done. 90 to 120 for full closure. You get paid.
What's the current situation? Not that this matters and it's really not any of our business, but I'm just curious how you guys were able to work around that current agreement. So is he still splitting his half?
He's a really good. I'm glad you asked that because I know the answer, because the guy was just a, solid guy. As soon as you meet him, he owns property in northern Wisconsin. He lives in Florida. He's super tan. He's on a boat. He's retired from the insurance business. And he specifically said, because I said, hey man, I know you said there's a lot of materials off site with the contractor. I can't make you promise you're going to bring them here, but how do we deal with him? And he goes, oh, no problem. When this closes out, I'm going to give more than my fair share because he's done all of this work to date that I will pay him for. So
okay, cool. Just make sure there's no liens from that guy that prevent the close.
Yep.
Yeah, you may even want to go get something signed with him now that just says that you're releasing your, interest, assuming that he holds up his bargain or something along those lines.
Right.
Dude,
that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome though, Matt. Very cool.
I have another question just on the close. What made you, like, why didn't you get the contract? Like, what's he thinking about? Where is he at mentally right now with this?
Just because it was something that I saw in his eyes and his face when I just gave him a creative solution. It was just that, that look of confusion where they just kind of go, huh? I've never, like he's never actually experienced anything like that. So it really took some, he was really straining to understand, like, so it was, hey, we have a call scheduled today. And I'll say, hey, make sure, hey, you got my cash offer. You got my other offer. Let's talk about this back end because I really feel like you want to move that direction.
Awesome. And I think as well, just for everyone listening, is very rarely you will ever close a creative deal at the table first time round, one conversation. So I was leading to this because I was hoping that's what you were going to say.
Yep.
And that's the point. That will happen. So you're literally teeing the call up for a return. Because of that confusion, they need to take that on board to go, this is genius. I'm ready to go. And that's all it needs. It just needs a little seasoning time. And I'm sure you'll have a call today and get it locked up. So that's awesome.
Let's clear the question really quick. Matt Smith asks, are comps similar to the MLS comps like PropStream?
Okay. Great question, man. I love the fact that, the comps are kind of getting, we never really paid attention to, promoting that side. But now, it's just a complete package to say, comps, repair costs, get to your offer, right? What else is there, man? ARV, repair cost, let's get an offer, right? Cash offer. So we're buying data now. And I compare, just so you guys know, every day whenever I do this, because I'm in the business. I don't just, do software, right? So every day I compare my own MLS. I compare PropStream. I get into, you pull it up on Zillow, pull it up on County, look what it says. Like I always do multiple facets, to see. And so I'm not here to trash any system or the other, but the data is really similar. It's just, with PropStream, they have to pull it at certain times, right? So it's not literally a live, connection. They might not show that, hey, there's 50 properties here, but 40 of them are under contract already, right? But it's showing, when you get into solds, I love how PropStream pulls a radius and gives you like 100 properties, around that as well. So it's very similar. We're also adding all of the mortgage data and everything else now as well, instead of just giving you those numbers. So, but importance is if you don't
do your own due diligence, regardless, right. Guys, no matter what system you're using. I don't rely on my PropStream ARVs.
Right.
I don't rely on Zillow's estimates. I don't rely on Redfin estimates, but I want to see all that information when I'm making my offers.
Correct.
None of these points are going to be the one that you can rely on blindly. Know that, but the more data you have, the more educated that ARV is. Guys, an ARV is nothing more than an educated guess.
Right.
By the way. I mean, let's be honest.
It's an opinion, isn't it?
It's a roll of dice. Yeah. I've gotten appraisals more than I can get somebody to buy the property for. And I've gotten appraisals for less than I can get somebody to buy the property for. Right. Even appraisals don't always come in for where the buyer's at. That's just the reality. And at the end of the day, it just matters what you can sell it for. Right.
Right.
So the other thing is, if you're doing pre-work, right? If you're doing pre-work before the appointment, you're sitting down, you're looking through your different sources and you're getting your ARV in line and you're estimating, you're guesstimating your repairs and you're doing some Google Street Views and stuff like that to understand the neighborhoods and stuff before you go. That's one way to do it. This is a tool if you're on the fly as well, that you have that number. If you're out at an appointment and you haven't had a chance to do pre-work, maybe this is a last minute appointment. Maybe it's just, maybe you're like me and you shoot from the seat of your pants and you want to be able to make a quick assessment. This is a tool to utilize that and be able to show the seller numbers right there. Hey, this is where we're at on rehab. This is what we think the value is. This is what, what we should be buying this property for. If that's the way you want to use it for a close, it makes a great tool for that as well. So, look at how you're running your business and think about it. I mean, this is again, a great shortcut to all the brain damage of doing a whole bunch of other work on something that you may not get in contract. So,
yep.
One of the things I really like, guys, is that not only does it help you estimate your repairs, but it helps you get the offer sent. But then on the flip side, assuming that they accept the offer, now you don't have to go back and create a scope of work. The scope of work was done when you estimated the repairs. So now you can spit that scope of work out. You can use that scope of work when you send your offer as an additional attachment. Here's how I'm coming up with my offer. Here's the repairs. But then you can also flip the script and say, here's the scope of work to my general contractor to go do those repairs. So it's actually doing multiple things simultaneously, which I think is really
you're right.
Cool.
Love it, man. David, you're spot on, man. I just had a conversation this morning with one of my guys I use. It's been over a year since I've used him. His name is Hector, and I just kind of reignited because I've got, too many deals popping up. And so I'm like, hey man, where are you at? I need you. And he said, yeah, he's on board, but he's now dialed it down to just one county, which is fantastic. He's figuring that out for himself. Right. Well, I said, look, how do you want to approach this? And he immediately referred back to, hey, you're the only guy that I trust where you actually used to hand me REP scope of work with prices. Guys, I'm not trying to make money on my flip like that. I'm not trying to make money running to Home Depot to buy tile so I can save, $100. Okay. I let you, the contractor, value engineer it. I've been a licensed contractor, general contractor for over 25 years. All right. I have authority on this side of things. If that's all I know, Gavin, all right, I've got something, right? So, but that's the beauty of it, is just, here's your scope of work and here's the numbers for every itemized piece. Okay. Please make that work. It always works they make it happen. So
that's great.
That is awesome. Yeah. Great piece of software. You guys have calculators in there as well to basically use the MAO formula, essentially, right?
Right. So here's the thing that this is kind of the first we're going to talk about this here is on this show. We've got this new wizard that we developed, and it's not supposed to be, adding on all these extra pieces. This is actually in the formula building, which is already there, but you can literally go in now, and I've released it to a bunch of heavy users, but now we're ready to go public with this in the next couple of weeks, where it's our wizard formula builder, where you go in and you pick right on the front end. Hey, look, am I wholesaling this property? Is this going to be a subject to? Is this, pre-foreclosure? Is it, you're picking, what this is, and also your exit strategy on the back end. And so you can start building, hey, look, sometimes if I'm going to go, this is a wholesale rental. Okay. So you're still going to have repair costs in there, but you're also going to have cash on cash return that's getting calculated, and your wholesale fee. And then it spits out that final number. So,
which is awesome, because you can then use that to market the property too.
Correct.
Which is awesome. I love it. I love 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yep.
I love those. Anything,
yeah, you
2
do.
birds.
Yeah, you do.
Anything 2 birds,
yeah, you
1
do.
stone.
Yeah, you do.
Trademark.
I love it.
By David Dodge.
I'm gonna get a shirt with that. 2 birds, 1 stone. We're gonna wear that next time we're together anywhere.
I'm in. I'll order me a couple.
It could be Tulum.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, Don, you are using this daily, right? With your team. Do you have your team members? Because you're the fix and flip guy on the show. I do a couple. I know Gavin's got a couple as well going at any given time, but your main core business is fix and flip. So are you having your team members go out and do this, run the rehab estimation when you're running your appointments, or, so on and so forth? How are you essentially using it? I'm just curious.
Anybody that's being trained into my organization new is being trained on Rehab Estimator Pro. So
Wow.
that's how we're doing it. We've been doing this for a lot of years. And so like my project manager, just for the sake of the fact that we stood in Home Depot, we know every single Home Depot layout in our county, which is insane because there's multiple. But I can go to, he's like a Rehab Estimator Pro machine. Like I can walk up to him and go, how much is it for us to install sliding glass door? How much is it for us to do flooring? This level, right? So he can pop those numbers out of his head. And that's, like I said, the brain damage of just, learning it and doing it and getting ripped off and everything else. So, but for the sake of us being dialed in on our offers and getting our offers right out of the gate, for the sake of us not having to beat numbers into our team and being as accurate as we can, everybody coming into my organization new is being trained on Rehab Estimator Pro, because it's a tool that, like I said, it cuts the education time down to almost nothing. It's a point and click solution, and it ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to get us more dialed into where we really need to be. One of the things that I live by, and just, we have some systems in our business, and this is why this helps the systems in our business. Like, I don't trust anybody who makes money off me closing on a deal. That is a wholesaler.
Second that.
Yeah. That is a wholesaler, a real estate agent, or my acquisitions person, right? Anybody who makes money off me closing on a deal, I do not trust 100%. And just to kind of give, like, we have a system in place that our project manager has to check every property we're going to close to flip before we close, because we had a situation one time where our acquisitions manager walked through a property And he'd been with me for a number of years. This is pre-Rehab Estimator Pro. And I was like, he said it's going to be 30 grand. 100% Don. Lou doesn't have to check the property. It's going to be 30 grand. He missed the HVAC that was on its last leg. This house had plexiglass windows. Who puts plexiglass windows in a house, right? So
that's a DIY.
Right.
There.
So
that's a new rehab. If you talk to
Right.
the sellers.
That's
rehabbed it.
top notch.
Right, exactly. It ended up being a $65,000 rehab on this property, and we actually still made money on it, believe it or not. But that not much. But at the end of the day, I put that system in place that from this point on, the project manager has to see the property before we close on it. Period. Hands down. If he doesn't see it, we don't close. And so, but ultimately, having a tool like Rehab Estimator Pro, where it would have went through and you had all these things to check, right? You're walking through and checking all these things off and checking the box. He would have looked at the windows. He probably didn't even look at the windows. He would have looked at the HVAC. He probably didn't look at the HVAC.
Yeah.
He went through and made assumptions based on certain things in the property and didn't look at others. And so having, this to be able to check off and spit numbers out will give them a more accurate tool to not only hold them accountable to make sure they're looking at everything and checking things off, but then it spits out appropriate numbers that they can actually realistically negotiate off of, that we can then know we're a little more secure in moving forward on this property, if that makes sense. So
absolutely.
So you know what, Don, I did add just for that reason too. So in the upper left-hand corner above, when you're logged on and you have your properties in front of you, it says to, hey, print my checklist. So, and it's exact screens that you see on Rehab Estimator Pro. So say you just load up your people, or you want to train them to go out, you can just print off a bunch of those, even if you're not bringing REP on a tablet live in the field. Right. And so you can basically have somebody, quit. You get a call, they run out the door, got to see this property now. It's a pocket listing from a realtor. They're going to list it tonight. You can go see it first. You run out there. It's the exact screens you're going to see. So you basically just check the box, put a number in where you have to, like windows, and then bring it back to your team. And then they can just go right down the line and go, okay, check, 15 windows, check. Done. There's your estimate. And that checklist, like you said, forces them to look at every component in the house quickly. We don't have, it's one screen per checklist. It's not 4,000 line items. You're not trying to figure out, I wonder how many linear feet of crown molding we're going to do.
Yeah, that's the 10% contingency. That covers all. Yeah, absolutely. But one thing I really like, though, is by having that checklist, it forces whoever that person may be, right? It could be the bookkeeper, it could be your acquisitions guy, it could be you, that's walking through the property to, at a minimum, check the no box on a lot of these items that could essentially get overlooked, right? You either need to fix it or you don't. Yes, no. And then if there's a yes, you need to then put in how many square feet or whatever it may be to determine what that cost is going to be. But if somebody goes in and they check the box no for an HVAC, and then you buy the property and it needs it, hey, there's some additional training that we got to cover here, guys. Like, what did you not notice about this HVAC being 35 years old?
Yep.
But again, it forces them to look at those line items when they're in the process of determining those repairs. I like that.
Yep. And it's also, man, I love the social proof of it. When you're in a house, like I carry my iPad with an Apple Pen, and I am telling you, if you can get them on board where they're looking at, what are you doing? Because I'll ask, you can be that guy that walks in as the investor and say, hey, have there been others before me? It's no problem if you tell me, but are these clowns bringing in yellow pads, and writing stuff down? Like I said, we use software in our business. And so that's how we come up with real numbers instead of just pulling it out of the air. And so as I go through, I start checking it with the pen, and they get so interested. I just hand it to them and say, here, could you hold this for me and just check those boxes as we go through? And I'll just I got my flashlight, I'm going to,
and they go and they click those boxes. And every time they click a box, the price goes up, the cost goes up, but they don't know that out the gate, which is really cool. But bringing them in the process is such a great way to build rapport, increase the trust that you may or may not have with that person. Hopefully you do after the fact, right?
Right.
It's just bringing them in is just such a great way to, get them to really say, okay, the repairs are showing 30 grand on here. That's really what they are versus them trying to say, oh, I know a guy, we could probably do it for 10. And when people tell that to me all the time, I say, cool, you go do all these repairs.
Yep.
And if you can pay the guy 10, great, I'll pay you this for it now.
Yep.
But without those repairs, I'm paying you this. And I think out of about, 200 or 300 times I've told that to people, never has that happened where they go get those repairs done at their cost. And then I buy the property at that elevated price without the repairs needed. It never happens, right?
That's a great line though. That's a great line.
Absolutely.
Okay, you go do that, and then my price will be here.
Yeah. So I'm not going to have to spend 30. I'll give you 30,000 more from what I'm offering. And if you can do it for 10, great. But what ends up happening is they either spend 30 or they spend 10 and it's a third of the way done. And then you can come in, you get an even better deal. Well, you half-assed the work on this. I had to redo it all. The price is the same. Yeah. Thanks for the $8,000 worth of work, So love it. Love it, man. That is really, really awesome. Guys, if you are watching and listening and you have questions for Matt, ask those questions. We encourage the audience interaction. We use this to connect with each other, learn about new products and services, industry practices, tips and tricks, you name it. But we also want to include you, the listener, the viewer. So if you have questions for Matt, now is the time to ask those. Matt, I know that with any software company, the owners of these individual companies are constantly adding, features and adding things along the way. What are some of the things that you guys have introduced, recently?
So like the first is that wizard we've been working on for about 6 months. And you guys know Steve Carlson too down in Texas, and we've been working with him because he does so much on the sub 2 side with notes and everything else. So we've been working with him. Again, without wanting to get too many things that just confuse people, this is something. The next thing I really want to add is a very simple presentation for lenders, because I think that piece is simplistic enough, because it's just pushing a button so that you can have a complete product that you're going to send for private money. So since I'm using private money on every deal, that I close, I have to go through to a separate, area to basically pull and put that, it's template based, but it just needs numbers and, pictures on it. So number one, I want a piece that's easy to just say, hey, here's a click of a button. You can, send this to your private money lender for review. This is what you're looking to borrow. They begin to trust REP because they want to know that you know what you're doing, right? Like your numbers are correct. So, and number two, I'm looking to add pictures in a third-party application, because there's no place to really, I want to be able to have people go back and just click a link that will be able to show you pictures of the property, so that, if you're more, say you've got 10, 12 acquisition guys, or say it's you still want to be able to have this where you can go back, and look, because you know how it works. Follow-up is key, right? Like that's where your deals are coming from most of the time. So, we're going back to deals a lot of times that, they may call back exhausted. They're finally a motivated seller. And that's, so those are some fun features that I'm trying to add without complicating the system too much.
I love that you said without complicating the system too much. Yep. That is an issue I feel like with a lot of softwares these days is, they start out with a simple idea, and 4, 5, 6 years later, it does a lot of stuff, but you gotta sit down for hours and hours and hours to learn how to use all these things. And
right.
I keep circling back to less is more, man. Less is always more.
Yep.
It just is. So I really like that. Matt's got a question here, Matt Smith. Does it dial in even as deep as removing shake shingles or 3 layers, or say needing sheeting replaced? I'm assuming he's referring to roofing here, right?
Oh yeah. Hey, yes, David. Yes, he is. Love it.
I don't do that type of stuff.
I know. I love it, man. It's all good.
Yeah, he sounds like me.
What the heck is a shake? So no, it's a great question, and so here's the premise. You're going to see 3 areas that you're going to be responsible for being in. If you're a newbie, or if you're a acquisition guy that's getting trained, sales guy that Don's training, I want you to stay in the 3 areas that you are forced to look at as you drive up to the property. Here's your exterior, there's your interior, and here's your miscellaneous and others, which gets into the mechanicals and certain things. So I want you to stay in your lane there. Now on the back end, for a guy like Matt Smith here, there's an others section, which has hundreds of itemizations in it that are for the experienced investor, contractor, guys like Don was referring to, that this guy can be in Home Depot and say, hey, how much is it to install this sliding door, right? And that's when you're going to get into issues like removing shake or putting sheeting on it. But these are also areas, the only place that it's needed, where you're going to have to put dimensions in. If in the first 3 sections, I don't want you bringing a tape measure. You do not bring a tape measure. You bring a flashlight, and sometimes if you want to bring an electrical tester, for outlets, okay? But in the back section, you're going to need to put in, hey, I need this many square feet of decking replaced on this roof, to resheet it. Or I have multiple layers of shingles, and you add that. Or I have, 60 linear feet of soffit and fascia versus just clicking the whole house, right? That's where plus I have all new construction pricing built in on the back end as well. So that's all there. I just don't like to talk about it as much unless there's questions like this that come up.
No, that's a great question, guys. So it starts out with the basics, right? And then if you want to go in and you want to detail specific things, you can.
Yep.
I love it. That's a great question.
Yep.
Casey says, Matt, I love you, bro. I don't know if you know him or not.
Oh, yeah, I do, man. He's great. Yep.
Awesome.
He's
Matt's got another question. Is it easy to export the rehab comps and offers into, say, a folder on your computer?
So, yes, right now it's everything gets sent out PDF. Okay, so it's going to send out, we just added being able to add the comps to that you used, because it's not a tool, actively where you can like go back and look at the comps, because it pulls them live. Okay, we're every time you click that button, we're purchasing that data for you. Okay, so yes, you send it into a folder. Also, we can actually send it right into your CRM. So like right now, there's a button on there that says push to Podio. And you can literally just push it and it'll go right into your Podio system. So, and we can, if there's other, CRMs you're using, then we can, if we don't already have it on the list, we can develop that as well and be able to push it there.
Yeah, there's only a couple things that I would think you would ever need to export. One would be the contract or the offer, right? And are you guys doing, it has the ability to make an offer, right?
Correct. Full cash offer. Yep.
So the next would be the actual repairs in the price in the list. A, to give to the seller if they question your offer or you want to justify it, or B, to give to your contractor, which would be the scope of work, right? So, other than those 2 things, there's really probably not a ton of reasons that you'd want to export. Maybe comps as well, if you want to also, again, justify why your offer is what your offer is. But a lot of that stuff's just kind of built in, which is really, really cool.
Yep.
And Matt agrees. That is really, really cool.
Way to go, Matt. Also,
I love it.
I'll throw another thing out too. Like, so for Don, your guy who like, hey, this guy knows this stuff. It takes literally seconds to go in. Say he disagrees with exterior door for $500 that is going to be a single door that gets installed, and you say no, actually it's $625 right now or whatever. It takes seconds to go and put your own values in as well, so that say you have a guy that consistently has been a rock star for you and can adjust those up or down in any way. So super easy to change your values if you need to.
So do you recommend people going out on site with a tablet typically?
Yeah,
that's probably the easiest way to use it, right?
Right. And I'll give you another. I'll give you a big one today, because nobody does this, man. Nobody does this. I have a thermal image printer that fits in my pocket. Okay, and it's Bluetooth. So I literally, while I'm sitting or coming down the stairs or whatever, I'm printing out the contracts with 3 different offer prices on their kitchen table. Okay, who does that? Right.
Yeah, I might need to get that link, man. I'm gonna have to get me one of those and throw it in my trunk.
Dude,
just to have it with me, man. I think that would be
it's amazing.
Great idea.
You can print the tax records out. You can print, something from your title company, whatever. Just right there. It's a thermal image printer, so you don't need ink. it's a great tool, man. Nobody else on the street is doing that. So if you start doing that, man, you're the only one. You've got a leg up on everybody.
Big leg up. Yeah. I'm
You
gonna
have to
print
send
some-
it. You have to send us a link to that, man.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say that sounds incredible.
I will.
I don't even go on appointments, but I want
Right.
one just to have one.
print some fake parking tickets and put it on your buddy's windshield.
That's great.
I love it, man. That's awesome. That'll definitely give you a leg up in the game by having the ability to walk the property with the seller, create that real-time list of repairs with costs, print it out.
Yep.
Right. If they want to go through comps, you can print those comps out. If you want to also go find, comps from Zillow or Redfin or PropStream, cool. Or your local MLS, print them out. Love it. Have that all right there. Then print that offer out, or have your offer I carry around a bunch of blank contracts, right? So that's another option. Or you can just print it right there,
Right. Yep.
fill it out, but basically justify to the seller that your offer is fair. And that's really the difference, I think, between there's a lot of things that, are going to differentiate the newbies versus the guys that have experience. But one of the main things that I found from the people that have experience is they know their offer's low, and they're not trying to sell the seller on the fact that it's not low. In fact, they embrace that it's low. But what they do differently is they justify it as being fair, right? It can be fair and low, right? And the way to justify it being fair is to use those things, is to use those comps, use those repair estimates, and also change the framing in your own mindset of this isn't me versus the seller. This is me and the seller versus the market.
Right.
And the market is what the market is. You can't really, say that, ARVs in this neighborhood are 650 if there's 5 comps showing 350.
Right.
I mean, it just is what it is.
Yep.
So awesome. Matt, that is awesome. Very, very cool.
Yep.
Court says, great show. Thanks for what y'all are doing for the real estate investing community. Court, thanks for watching, man. We appreciate you. We love doing this live show. Join us every single week. Wednesday mornings, 11 Central, 12 Eastern. Is it 9 Pacific?
9 Pacific, yeah.
Yes.
And one more shout out, Dave, that we didn't mention at the beginning of the show when you start mentioning is this is being released as a podcast as well. You can find it where you find your podcast.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, the team just got the podcast going as of, I think, yesterday or the day before. So, yeah, if you miss one of these live shows and you guys are driving, definitely check out the podcast. It should be on any and all platforms. If not today, it will be in the next day or two.
Right.
I love it, man. I look forward every week. There's a banner that drops on my phone. Coffee with Closers is live. I love it. So I look forward to it.
We have a lot of fun doing this live show every week. It's growing, which is really, really cool. And, we get a lot of really, really good feedback. So, Matt, we're really happy to have you on the show, man. We're super grateful for your time and all the energy and efforts that you've put into this such an amazing, software, which is really cool.
I just want to say one thing as well about Matt. Matt's obviously, as we said, he's a cool guy, but he does a lot of things outside. I'd like you to talk about it, Matt, a little bit, if we don't mind. Some of the adventures, the things that you do, and
you just
and
texted
give
me this
back.
morning about a trip we're going to be taking in January.
Yeah. So just talk about that a little bit. I mean, you do some things. I don't know how you have all this time, but it's amazing. Some of the things that you do is incredible. So just tell us like the trip that you've just been on, the latest one, and kind of the things that you're doing outside in other countries.
No problem, man. Yeah, that's those are my reasons, man. I part of the proceeds for subscription goes right towards these projects. Every dollar out of every prescription. So subscription. So I build all over the world. It's missional. We build schools, we build houses, we build churches, community centers. This is during this last year, it's been crazy because I've called everybody my rogue pirates because everybody's shut down their trips, but we just kept going, man. But so I do go. This will be my 7th trip this year. Next, it's in 3 weeks, man. This is my hardest trip. This is into the bush in Tanzania. We are literally in tents, hyenas barking at night. I mean, this is an unreached people group that we're building a school for out there. And so that's going to be great. We just got back from Honduras. We had a big build up in the mountains, 6,000 feet up. That was just amazing. There were 60 nationals that showed up to help us as well. So it's just, man, it's powerful. It's life-changing. Not only is it life-changing for communities that we're touching, but what I've found is that it is more impactful for the people that I bring and assemble. Those are the lives that are seriously impacted, and they bring that back. They bring that energy. They bring all that, how their life has changed. And David, even on our trip, same kind of thing. You get people outside of the U.S. and in a setting where they're relaxed and vulnerable and focused on one thing, powerful things happen. So that's a big reason, a part of what I do. I'm gone 12 weeks out of the year as a combined total, but I love it and don't plan on stopping anytime soon. And
that's awesome.
No, yeah, it's amazing.
Matt texted me this morning about a trip that he's going to be hosting in January out to Honduras.
Yep.
And I'm in, Matt. I told you in Costa Rica I wanted to start doing stuff like this. Use this opportunity to help people, but also to grow internally. And there is a small selfish aspect in there too. Is I get to spend time with Matt.
Right.
So like, why that alone is going to be cool,
right.
Yeah. But there's also a lot of other people that I'm going to get to meet on these trips and build some really, really cool, lasting, meaningful relationships.
Yep. And it's exactly that, man. We're going to work hard. Trust me. It's going to be exhaustion. At the end of the day, we're laying block, we're mixing concrete. But guess what? Yes, those relationships, as well as we're also going to be cliff jumping in Roatan. Okay. Like we got to add those pieces to it too, to reward that hard work. So it's all over, man.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. That's going to be really, really cool. Guys, we got about 10 more minutes of the live show here. If you have specific, cannot talk today. If you have specific questions for Matt about Rehab Estimator Pro, now is the time to ask those questions. And this software is phenomenal, guys. Take it with you. You can use your phone. You can use a tablet. You can do it from your computer. You could do that in the car, at the kitchen table, in your office. Doesn't matter. It essentially is going to take the guesswork out of estimating repairs. It is going to dial in your repairs. It is going to allow you to use anybody on your team, including your bookkeeper, to send out and basically determine the cost of repairs for a particular property. On top of that, it's going to help you run your comps. It's going to help you send your offers. It's going to help you justify those offers, which we talked about earlier. And last but not least, it's going to give you a scope of work, which nobody uses. Everybody should use them, but let's be honest, it's time consuming. And typically what happens is you hire your contractor to tell you what that scope of work is. But it's better, much better. Don would be the one to second this, as well as Matt here. But it's much better to have a plan and go in with that scope. And then if your contractor sees something that you missed, great, have a conversation about it.
It gives you the confidence to close as well.
Man,
confidence to close, to make your offer, to get a signature. So really good.
I want to add too. I mean, I don't think that you're charging enough, Matt. Honestly, when you think about the fact that you have an opportunity to utilize a tool to negotiate better, to get better deals, how much more money are you going to make there? That you're going to have less room for error because your rehab scope of work and budget's going to be more on point. So you're gonna make money there. You're going to spend less time training your team, less brain damage, less time on yourself, figuring things out because the numbers are there. When you take all that math and you put it together and you look at what you're charging for this product, you're practically giving it away. Right. And that's something that people need to realize. So you really should be charging more. I'm just going to plug that in there.
No, you know what, man? I appreciate that. I've heard that a lot. And, really, I want this to be, to me, this is such a fundamental, as far as even, starting out in your business and, being able to get this right. And I want it to be like a gym membership, to be honest, where, you look at this and go, well, shoot, man, if I can't even afford this, then I might as well just get out of the game. That's how I feel about, dude, my Planet Fitness, I haven't been there in like 6 weeks, but I'm not canceling because I feel like I've quit, on myself, you know what I mean? Right. So, and that's what I want it to be. I want people to be able to get in this game, do it right. And you know what? You don't need this massive, CRM system when you're starting out and you've only got a yellow pad with, 4 properties on it, right? But you do need basic tools to get into this business. And I want this to be a basic tool. And it's something I use every day in my business. I developed it for myself in my short sale business. So I developed it for me because I use it every day, and I'm just giving it to the rest of the world as well and saying, hey, I want you to use this too. I want you to be successful at it. So appreciate it.
Nice. Matt, we got a couple questions here to wrap us up here. So it looks like, let me see here.
Looks like Casey was for not.
Is it Casey here? Okay, cool. So Casey says, can you track projects, progress, updates, photos, etc. in the software?
Okay, so that's something we talked about a little bit earlier with project management, things like that. Photos we are adding. So yes, that we're bringing that live. That's in the hopper for when you're in software business, there's always those vision boards, right? Like,
that's right.
And then every suggestion that comes along the way as well. So right now, Casey, I really am hesitating to make this like a full project management tool. There are other great systems out there for that, and they do a really good job. And there's several of them. I actually use Co-Construct in my business, which Builder Trend owns. It's a parent company, but that gets into a whole different level. I'm really debating on that because I want this tool to be something that you look at that isn't just about rehabs or just about, I want you to say, look, you're getting comps and you're getting repair costs that nobody else provides that you can trust, which is getting you to a cash offer or whatever offer, sub 2, seller carry, seller finance. It's giving you all of that so that this is a tool that says, I've got everything I need to be able to get my feet in this business. And also it's a tool that seasoned guys all over the country like you guys are using as well and trust it. So I don't want to get too far off.
No, I love it.
Everybody manages their rehabs differently too. When you try to get into, a rehab management software, I've went down that rabbit hole with a few people in conversations, and everybody does their business so much differently from each other that it becomes, it's hard to build something that's going to fit.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
you can't introduce a Gantt chart, like builders use, for flow on a calendar of who's going to be there when and who's next every single day. Not in our business.
Yeah, you can try, but it's not going to work out like you anticipate. No. I love it. Matt says the offer calculator sounds amazing. Court's got a question. Is there any way to use the software to send it to other buyers if I don't want to do the flip myself?
Yes. So if you're wanting other people to run it, yes, you can actually set up. There's a tab in there for you to add virtual assistants. If that's what I hope that's
perfect.
Answering.
Another thing that you can do is you can print your comps, you can print your repair estimates, and you can print the offer, or just say, I'm looking to wholesale it. Here's what I'm looking to get for it. You don't even necessarily need the offer. So there are tools in here that you can essentially utilize. Or like Matt said, you can add people into it, directly. Great question.
Yep.
Looks like we maybe have one or two more here. So Scott says, I'm a Reno manager for tech-based investor SFR3. I use a system like this every day. Sounds like a great system, Matt. Thousands of line items and a scope of work to come up with a budget. And that's it. That's exactly what this is doing for you guys.
I want to add something for rehabs. We're at the tail end of this. I want to get this in here. The most important change in my business when I made my contractors do line item bids. They don't do just a whole $30,000 for the job. You buy the materials, $30,000 for the job, materials included, because that leads even honest people. It leads to a destruction in a relationship because they say I didn't have this in the bid, and you say we talked about it. It becomes a fight, right? Line item bids save all of that, and this is a great tool for helping get that contractor there because it's a lot of work to do line item bid. A lot of contractors don't want to do it. When you can handle something like this, and you can say break this out into line item, how many lights, how many doorknobs, how many doors, and you have that there. That really is a long way to you understanding what's going into the project, them understanding what's going into the project, and saving the relationship. If he comes back and says, there's 12 lights, I only counted 10, and you see there's only 10 on the bid, it's an easy conversation to say yes. If it's not there and you're distrusting, like I have learned to be through the years, then you're questioning their integrity, and that creates animosity in relationships. So this tool is just for that aspect of a tool that helps your contractor do a little less work in their bidding process, and being able to get you something that's a little bit more clear and to the point goes a long way as well.
Right. Let me add to that too, because that's great. Look, I'll speak as a general contractor right now. Okay. Man, if you don't care about your project, I don't care about your project. If you don't, if somebody's not showing up, I ain't showing up. You know what I mean? We're going to respond to whoever's yelling loudest right now. But that becomes personal relationship, just like your private money lenders is a personal relationship, right? Like these are relationships you form even with your contractors, so that when you come into a house and you've developed this relationship and they get to see what I call a general industry standard. Okay. I don't have to come in and say, whoa, bro, what about that scratch in the hardwood floors? Well, that wasn't in your scope of work. No. Like we're getting way. You would never, if this was your own house or your own flip, leave that scratch in the floor. So there are certain things that just become relationship based, that they get to know what you expect, the level of flip that you're going to produce, and they begin to own it like you do. And that's all built, personal relationship, because you're never going to cover everything. And nobody wants to have that fight, about 10 or 12 lights, because you're supposed to replace those last 2 lights. It's right. That's what it is. So
yeah,
I love that. If you don't care, they don't care.
Right. Oh yeah.
If you don't show up, they don't show up. Everybody's like, well, why should I check my project once a week? Well, my contractor's not showing up, but why should I check my project once a week? Well, if you don't show up, they're not going to show up. If you don't care, they don't care. That is fantastic. I love the way you put that. That needs anybody who reads rehabs that needs to hear that.
Yeah, that's a massive gold nugget right there.
A massive gold nugget. You set the standard. What is valuable to you is going to be valuable to your team, and your team includes the vendors that work with you.
Yep.
I love it. Guys, check out Rehab Estimator Pro. You can actually save 60%. Use link fliptalk.com/estimate. Matt, thank you so much for your time today.
Great
pleasure.
Great session.
Yeah, as always, man. It's a massive pleasure to get to network with you and talk with you. You are the real deal when it comes to, estimate and repairs. The software you guys have built is helping tons and tons of people. It's simplifying systems and processes in people's businesses. And lastly, but not least, the mission work that you are doing is incredible. And I can't wait to come be a part of that.
It's going to be great, man. Love it. Thank you guys so much. Love you guys. All of you.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.